Hi, Ange. I'm just putting this together just to talk through the placement and the observations for childcare. So what we've got is this book here. Um, Originally, there was only ever one observation. So for providing care for babies and toddlers, for example, they would just do one. So originally, the book looked like this. And this is where I think the reflections getting a bit confused as well, because they were called reflections and observations. So the first one was observe and reflect, provide care for babies and toddlers. And what they would do is there'd be one observation checklist in there for when the assessor came out, and then they would do three reflection reports just to make sure they had that consistency across three different children, where they'd reflect on experiences with three. And then you get on to the next observation checklist, which was due to relate to something totally different, provide care for children. And that had also three checklists with it. So that was the origin, and again, it was eating. What else is there? Develop positive and respectful relationships. So um, these are all here. The first thing is they're called reflections, but the reflections actually not here in here anymore. So it's probably more observations here for provide care for babies. The way this is set up, so like the other one, we only really need, or the intention is what's mapped is that there's only one observation occur. But I like the way this is set up in that, and I've seen it done before, that the teacher actually in their visit one, whatever they see, they mark off here, and it leaves then the opportunity to in the second visit for them to fill in any gaps for whatever they see. So it might be that, but then over here, and so on. And then once they've got everything done, there could be a final result there. The only evolution, which we could talk about separately with Emily, might be where they, because it doesn't come up, there's a section where they can ask a critical question around something that doesn't come up. So there's another gap that says critical question, and they tick that. So either that's marked, or the critical question's marked. And they can make a quick note of what the critical question is. So that would probably help with Myra's concern. So in relation to those reflections where they reflect three times that I just showed you before, basically what happened was we took them out of being in a manual for school-based and actually included them here on the LMS, where, again, if you look, all the different sections get included here. Just as a way to, because with SPAT we were getting to the end and it wasn't done, this was just an easy way for the teacher to monitor that was occurring. So that's why those three reflections are no longer in any of the manuals, because they got put on the LMS so we could monitor what was occurring with them. So basically if we look at it, you'll see with the babies, for example, care for babies, there's child 1, child 2, child 3, caring for children 1, 2, 3, etc. So they all got put on there. In regards to the observation checklist, so the one observation that came with each of the three reflections, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, we also put them on here. So see, observe and reflect, provide care for babies. And if you look at the rubric, it's going to have all the dot points in it that are the same as what we spoke about before in the observation checklist. So one thing I want to get across is they don't have to do a separate observation to satisfy this and what's in that placement book. So we can do one of two things, I guess. We could just get rid of this, and instead of having all these dot points, just have student has completed the or has satisfied all requirements of the observation checklist in the placement observation book for caring for babies, and they just go yes, no, and that's all they have to do. All these other lines would disappear. So that would be one option. The other option would be just for them to go through and make them all green. So probably the first one is going to be an easier option, but I guess the main thing is they don't have to do it twice. So the observation checklist is on here. In regards to your other comments about this workplace observation, I'm going to need to look into this because off the top of my head, I don't know where this has come from. Whether it's something that evolved over the last 12 months. I'm not totally familiar with this checklist, so I'm going to have to look into where that one's come from and how it fits in with the mapping. That's all. So, and again, in regards to reducing these, the options are, as I said, have the extra column that has critical question, or we can get to getting this down, but we just need to make sure we consider the training package at the same time so that we don't leave any holes. So that's my thoughts on it. So to summarise, we just need to just for next year, this needs to be called, I guess, observation, unless you disagree. We need a much clearer explanation. So I think with this and all the placement books, we probably just need to speak to the teachers. Probably this one's even more important because the other 4 school-based placement books are quite simple. It's just week by week, but this is a bit more complex. So an explanation over how this works, more discussion on trying to get these points down if we think necessary, getting the teachers to understand that there's the observation checklist in the book on Edu on Go and how they relate to this, basically the same thing. And also, I just need to work out where these have come from.